What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Well, the time has come, I think, to put in motion something that I've discussed in other videos in the past. I've talked to other people about it. Chris Bell, the creator of Bigger, Stronger, Faster, the documentary of performance-enhancing drugs. Greg Valentino, World's Largest Arms, the man whose arms exploded. There was a documentary made on TLC about him. Seth Feroce, IFBB Pro Bodybuilder. Like, I've had this discussion going for a little while, and I've mentioned it before. And C.T. Fletcher has actually gone into schools and, done these seminars or talks. I'm not sure what you really would call them, but we talked about actually traveling around and doing these discussions, these presentations to kids in schools to try to explain about drug abuse, drug addiction, alcohol abuse, drunk driving, all these different things that have affected us during our lifetime. Now, this just seems to be the right time after watching a documentary on HBO called Heroin Cape Cod, or Cape Cod Heroin, or whatever it was. My fiance Aaron and I watched it the other night. And I'm watching these things, which I also watch Intervention and these other shows. And I'm watching these like 5 or 6 people that are in this documentary. And this is an area where I grew up. I grew up in Warren, Rhode Island. I was born in Providence, Rhode Island, grew up in Warren, graduated from Warren. And Cape Cod was where we took vacations as a kid. It was close enough to drive to. It had great beaches. It was a nice place. It was part of being a New Englander, was to go out to the Cape on the weekend of vacation, or for a week in vacation. And during this documentary, I saw only one of these people survive. The rest of them all died. And I said, you know what? I stepped back and I started looking at the statistics at this time. I started looking at what's going on up there, talking to friends that still live up in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and realizing that drug abuse is a huge problem right now, and it's just getting bigger. And at this point, I think it's time to step up and tell my story, step up and tell my cousin's story, who had passed away due to a drunk driving accident, and really get the message out there from me to these kids. It's time to get the message out, that I stand in front of them face to face. And the reason why I'm starting to do this is I remember as a teenager, around where these kids are going to be impressionable to make these decisions that are going to last for the rest of their life. And we had a lot of people come into the schools and tell us not to do drugs, not to drink and drive. And it usually came around prom time, that area where they bring the car, they drop it on the lawn and show you what it looks like in a car accident from a drunk driver. Or they had goggles that you would put on and make you look like you'd been drinking all night. And we had these guys in like sweater vests and ties. And what they would do is they would stand there and tell us that drink driving is bad, don't do drugs. And we would look at them, we would laugh, and it'd be like a big assembly. And, a lot of the message was just kind of lost, period. None of us paid attention to it. And then my senior year in high school, we studied the Holocaust all year. Mr. Davis's class, Warren High School. At the end of the year, we had a Holocaust survivor come in named Mr. Eichenbaum. I think I've told this story before on the channel. And Mr. Eichenbaum told us the stories about how he was in Auschwitz. He told us about his sister being shot and killed in front of him. And none of this seemed to be real until he pulled up his sleeve and showed us his tattoo from Auschwitz. And it became very real. It became something that all of us, not only it affected us, but we understood a lot more after seeing this and having this experience in a small classroom setting. And by having someone that actually had been through it and talked with a genuine look in their eye, an actual feeling behind it, it wasn't from a book anymore. It wasn't just something that someone, taught us about. It had happened, 100 years ago. So now, fast forward to now, and, I've spoken to many people. I've made the videos that are up on YouTube, storytime videos and stuff like that. But these storytime videos and the things that I'm putting out on YouTube don't get through to kids. They're not videos for kids. They're adult entertainment that's on there. There's a lot of swearing, et cetera, et cetera. It's not stuff that kids are going to see. And it's about time that we start moving in that direction and start getting into talking to these kids where they're young enough and they're impressionable enough to listen to something like this, but be affected by it actually happening to someone like me, where I can actually describe and tell them how it feels. So I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put out there, this is not a money-making opportunity. What I'm looking for is any of you who see this video that think that this is a good idea for me to get in front of a classroom full of kids and explain to them how drunk driving has affected my life and my family's life for the rest of our lives. How drug addiction and beating drug addiction is something that I've had to overcome in my lifetime, and how I'm still standing here in front of you, and how I've seen the effects affect everyone around me, friends, family, like real experiences, real life things that don't get talked about by the people that it hasn't happened to. They don't get talked about by the teachers. They don't get talked about by the people that are professors or experts or doctors that come in and explain. They don't get talked about by, your guidance counselors, they don't get talked about because they don't understand, they don't know. So if this is something that you think that, excuse me, you would like in your classroom, or someone is a teacher, or you're wanting to get this message across to kids, contact me through my email, bios3training@gmail.com. It's in the description box down below. And we'll start to get this thing moving. I'm not looking to make money off it. I'm looking to get in front of kids as soon as possible. It's February. March, April, May, that prom season is coming up. That is the emotional experience that they're going to have this thing tied to when these talks usually start happening. So we have a short period of time to get this going and get in front of these kids and possibly make a difference so they don't have to go through what me and my family and my friends have gone through for the last 40 years. I'm BIOS3 and I approve this message, and we're out.